My disgusting in-laws are trying to move into my house after they had their cats taken away and having their house condemned 2 years in a row for unsafe living conditions. And after finding out about all the disgusting things that went on in that house, I'm now absolutely demanding that they don't show up at my house because I don't want the same thing to happen to me. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, my in-laws are in their 60s. They are hoarders, they're unhealthy people, and they are not elderly. And saying something like, well, this is what happens when you get to be our age. No, as a matter of fact, it doesn't. You either eat healthy and take care of yourself or you're gonna fall apart. They also don't cook or clean, and their house is falling apart from neglect. They neglect their own hygiene, they reek of urine, and have 2 cats who urinate and defecate all over the house. Their doctors have passively made comments about the smell, but they don't ask for help or even consider a nursing home. They seem to be there mentally, but they are just completely gross. Now, in the winter of 2023, my 350-pound father-in-law fell down, and he and my mother-in-law could not get him back up. They called the fire department, and when the fire department saw the condition of the house, they called the health department and said that they had 14 days or so to fix some of the issues around the house before they would be forced to leave. The Humane Society also came by and took their 2 cats away. Now, as a side note, I also know that they just feed their cats leftovers from the food they get delivered. There's mold and cat defecation and rot, and I would bet human waste as well all around the house. My wife said there were trash bags filled to the brim everywhere. They got the house taken care of just enough to meet code, and then fell right back into it, and now it's even worse. My father-in-law also recently beat cancer, but he has some wounds and infections on his legs, and they just keep coming back. I'm not sure on the cause of the infections, but I am certain their hygiene and living environment is causing them to remain. Well, today, my father-in-law fell again, and it was a repeat of 2023. The fire department, health department, and Humane Society all came along, with the Humane Society taking the 2 cats away again. I mean, they've done nothing to improve the house. I heard my mother-in-law say, oh, it's only gotten worse over the phone when talking to my wife earlier tonight. The health department has marked it with red tape or a red flag or something like that, where the house is not permitted for re-entry at this time. My father-in-law's leg infection has been so bad that he's even had maggots growing on them. Yes, maggots. He was delirious from the fall and is being admitted to the hospital for a few days. And from the sounds of it, it seems like he has some kind of minor kidney injury. My mother-in-law has been discharged, and she does not own a cell phone, and all of her belongings are back at the house, which I'm not sure they can even get in. My wife is on her way to get my mother-in-law and bring her back to our house, but I said no. My wife and I both work from home. We do have the room, and my wife said she will sleep in my guest bedroom, which doubles as my wife's office. But right now, I feel like in the 14-year husband and wife relationship in a house that we own together, my feelings and opinions should be valid, and we should come to an agreement in some way. My in-laws knew in 2023 they had to do something, and you know what? They didn't. And I do not want to be a shelter for that kind of behavior. So am I in the wrong for telling my wife that no, her mother-in-law and father-in-law can't stay with us? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Oh my god, this is so disgusting, it's not even funny. There were maggots coming out of this guy's leg. Like seriously, that is the definition of no, you're never coming into my house. I don't care what kind of thing you're going through, you're clearly not well enough to take care of yourself, and there's no way I'm ever putting that burden on my back. Like seriously, this is so disgusting. These people live in filth every single day, and now your wife's like, oh yeah, they're gonna come into our house. It's like, no they're not. What are you talking about? They've destroyed their house twice. Literally 2 years in a row, they've had the fire department, the health department, the Humane Society knocking on their door. Like seriously, what is going on right now? This is so unfair, it's not even funny. So if I was in your shoes, I would be putting my foot down hard and fast. There's no way in the world they would ever be welcome in my house. They're gonna make a mess of your house as well, and I guarantee you, in my opinion, the second they move in is the second they will never move out. And that is something I would never want to deal with. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for refusing to use all the money my dead mother left me just to pay for her funeral? Because right now, my siblings are demanding that I put all of it into the funeral itself, even though I need that money just to live. Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, my mother passed away a few days ago, and I'm now fighting with my older sister and my older brother about who is paying for the funeral and who is paying how much. Now, normally, you would think that everybody pays the same portion, or depending on their income or savings or something like that. But the problem is that I have no income because I stopped attending evening school because they refused to let me care for my now dead mother while also attending school at the same time. I also have 3 younger siblings. One is 17, one is 19, and and the third is 21 years old, but they were really not suited to care for our mother and attend school themselves. That's why our mother always sent me money so that I could pay the bills. For reference, I live with my younger siblings. Because I was better with money than my mother, we had about $5,000 in our account when she died, and since she's now passed away, I'm looking for a job. Now, I know that it's partly my fault that I wasn't better prepared for this, but you have other things on your mind other than looking for a job when your own mother is dying on the couch and doctors are failing to treat her. I mean, she was just sent from one hospital to the next. Now, this is where I might be the jerk. We think that the funeral should cost about $8,000, and my sibling wants me to use the entire $5,000 from my mom for their funeral, which means I can't pay the rent or electricity and water for me and my siblings. I know I have to pay something in any case, which I have already done. I've already transferred $1,700 to the funeral, plus $1,600, which were still in my mother's account. And we still did this even though me and nobody else in this house earns any money, which is something we're currently working on. But they want me to use the entire $5,000 with the argument that this is my mother's money, even though she gave it to me so that I could pay rent and other expenses for me and my younger siblings. Now, my younger siblings and everyone else that I've asked think that it's pretty outrageous to ask for something like that. I understand that you can't just pay for a funeral, but we already have $3,400 together without my older siblings contributing anything. And I haven't even mentioned the hospital bills that we have to pay. And this is because my mom was self-employed and she never really took care of her health insurance, which is something that my older siblings don't even think about. So am I the jerk for refusing to use all the money my dead mother left me to pay for her funeral? Because right now I really don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk at all. The way your siblings are acting is completely out of line. For them to act like this is somehow your mom's money still, even though she passed away, and that you need to use it for her funeral, like that's so weird and obviously not true. It's for you to use however you want, and clearly you need that to pay for stuff. And I think you're on the right track by saying yes, everybody in the house needs to get a job just so you can try to support yourself. And this is absolutely something you should have sorted out much sooner, but it is what it is. Like, these things happen and obviously you're taking it in stride. But it's crazy to me that they want you to put all this money into this funeral fund, and yet they haven't contributed anything to getting this done. So no, I don't think you're the jerk at all for not wanting to foot this bill, because in my opinion, this is something that everybody should be paying for. Am I the jerk for kicking my friend out of a car, all because he was turning off my dash cam? Because right now he's claiming that I'm creepy for recording the inside of my car, even though I'm just trying to protect myself if anything bad happens. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I've had 3 cameras put in my car, one forward facing, one rear facing, and one for the cabin. Now, my friend doesn't like the fact that I've had a cabin camera, all because apparently it violates his privacy. I told him that he doesn't have to get in my car for free rides, and that he's more than welcome to Uber or take the bus to where he's supposed to meet up. Well, while I was driving us to a restaurant, I noticed him messing with my dash cam, which is the one I installed in the passenger side. And it was then that I told him to knock it off or I'm kicking him out. And then, during a red light, I checked my dash cam and I noticed that it was shut off. I quickly turned into a parking lot and I told him he needs to leave my car. He said to me, "Seriously, over a stupid camera? You're such a creep for recording us all the time. You don't need an inside camera." Mind you, this is the same dude who can't drive anymore because he has gotten multiple tickets, including driving while using a phone. He then stormed out of the car and cussed me out for making him get an Uber ride home. So am I the jerk for kicking him out of my car after he messed with my cameras? Because at this point, I am still incredibly frustrated. No, you are not the jerk at all. Honestly, I think having cameras in your car is a good idea, especially if you live in like a big city where accidents can happen all the time. I mean, granted, accidents in a car can happen anywhere, but I feel like whenever I've lived in like a major city, that's the one place it always happens. But regardless, having a dash cam of some kind is not a bad idea nowadays. Some people are crazy and they would love to scam you out of so much money, but it seems like you've got that pretty much figured out because you know that you're a safe driver and you're not going to do anything stupid. So on that note, the fact that your friend was trying to shut it down because he's like, "Oh, you're being creepy. How dare you record me in your own car?" It's like, dude, what are you talking about? This is such a weird complaint, it's not even funny. Because in my opinion, this is a great way to prove to insurance that yes, you did get in an accident, and no, it wasn't your fault. And if I was in your shoes, I definitely would have kicked my friend out as well, because the way he was messing with your property was incredibly inappropriate. Am I the jerk for telling my sister that if her boyfriend doesn't start contributing to the household, then he has got to go? Because after not paying the bills or the rent or anything else for quite a while now, I'm now starting to hit my breaking point. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my sister and I have our own house together, and she recently became pregnant. Her boyfriend had nowhere to go and was going to have to move to a very far town away away, which would cause conflict for her because she would have had to help with a baby, get a ride to work, or a ride to her appointments. When we discussed it, I told him that as long as he helps split the rent between us, helps keep the house clean, and helps us pay the bills, which is only water, gas, and Wi-Fi, then he could stay. The whole time that he's been here, he's been looking for a job, but he just can't seem to find anything, or at least so he says. So we've been paying the bills and the rent without him contributing. I bought about $800 worth of food and it's almost all gone. I work 16-hour shifts and I'm barely home. So I know it's him that's constantly in the kitchen. Our water bill is $600 because he takes 30-minute showers and he has a whole routine that he has to follow. He also doesn't help clean unless we ask him. And even then, my sister does everything for him because apparently he just doesn't know how to do it. I often clean by myself because they both don't help clean like they should, but mainly it's just him not doing anything. I told her countless times to talk with him about helping out with paying for bills and cleaning, but clearly not much has changed. And I don't even think she's making it seem like it's some kind of urgent matter. I was being understanding and sympathetic at first, but now I'm becoming annoyed and regretful. She's going on maternity leave in March, so I know if he doesn't get a job by then, I'll be stuck paying everything by myself until her disability kicks in, and I'll be stuck cleaning everything because she'll be recovering from childbirth and won't be able to help. So am I in the wrong here? Because right now I don't know what to do. No, you're not asking anything unreasonable here. The boyfriend in this story needs to get a job and he needs to get to work. He's clearly using you and your sister, and that's not fair. And it doesn't help that your sister is basically saying nothing to get this going. So no, you're not the jerk for saying that he's got to start contributing something, because if he's seriously going to freeload, then this is only going to cause more stress in your life. My mom is demanding that I take out all of my savings so that I can spend that money on gas just to travel and visit her, as she has constantly diminished my experience in life while also completely brushing off any struggles that I've had to deal with. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so just a little bit ago, me and my mom were trying to plan how I would come to see her, as I do live about 10 hours away in a different state. Well, she suggested that I take some of my money out of my savings for gas, and then I just drive to her and she will pay me back. So I did exactly that. I put my savings into my checking. Never mind the fact that I only had $300 to my name and only had about $96 in checking and the rest was in savings. And I also had to pay $250 on gas. Now, I'm putting this in entitled parents because the stuff she kept saying, I don't remember all of it specifically, but she brought up so many things, such as her saying, well, we drove 9 hours to your graduation in high school, so you can make this no problem, completely dismissing me whenever I said something, even though she had asked me about this. And especially when I kept saying I don't have the money to go shopping or do anything because I'm trying to save to pay my car insurance in January. She would say to me, well, I had it tough too. It's part of growing up. I told her, hey, please don't try to minimize my situation. And after I said that, she blew up at me, telling me that she only had $200 when I was born and how she worked hard and that I'm not the only one who's struggling. I just said to her, I never said I was. And yes, your situation was worse, but that doesn't mean that I'm not having a tough time right now. She then said verbatim what I had said. No, you were minimizing my experience. And I said to her, no, I was trying to explain mine and you overshadowed me. And then she says, well, that I did. Then it was quiet and then she started explaining what road to take. And of course, right after that, the love bombing started, saying how much she loves me and how she's proud of me and all this other garbage. And honestly, I don't know. I just feel so crazy. And she also wants me to leave first thing in the morning too, so I'm just trying to busy myself packing. Also, I don't live with her or my dad anymore. They did get divorced after all, but I do live with my friend's family and they have relatives over, so there's no room for me. If I didn't go to my mom's, I would be sleeping in my car for a month. But either way, as I said before, she's paying me back for the gas money, which should be the full $250. And she also said she's giving me a bit more just in case. My main issue with her is that she only thinks of herself when talking about me and frequently tries to struggle more than me and make me feel like garbage. And you know what? No, I'm not willing to just go along with this. It's either I stay there or sleep in my car for a month. And if I pay $300 to the dorms, I wouldn't get paid back. But my mom is saying that she's paying me back for gas money. And sure, I am getting better in saying no and expressing myself, but I was just sticking up for myself during the call, even though I was upset, because right now I'm still incredibly frustrated. Yeah, this seems really weird that your mom's like, oh yeah, I had it harder than you, and then just completely diminishes anything you say. And it's also funny that when you try to give her a taste of her own medicine, she's like, wow, don't diminish my experience. But it's like, wait a second, that's exactly what you did to me. So I'm right there with you. I can't stand when people act like that, and hopefully she really does pay you back for gas, because from the sounds of it, this really will like completely deplete your bank account, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. Today, I messed up by by going on a date with someone from Hinge, resulting in this lady freaking out on me after I decided that I didn't want to date her any longer. Here's what happened. Okay, so about a week or two ago, I matched with a girl on Hinge. She is in the same town as me. She appeared to be my type and have similar interests as me. We chatted on Hinge for a while and then moved on to texting. We had a lot in common and I found her physically attractive. So I asked her if she wanted to go on a date at a bar or a grill in our downtown area of the city that we lived in. Eventually, we made the plans and I get to the restaurant last night a little early and I let her know that I was going to grab a table but told her I would meet her up front when she got there. She tells me that she's walking up, so I let the waiter know and meet her at the front of the restaurant. Well, a girl who I absolutely did not recognize walks through the door and greets me. After a few seconds, I realized that it was in fact her, but truthfully, probably twice the size of her from the photos. And sure, she wasn't stick thin in her pictures by any means, but she was probably 100 pounds less than what she is now. I believe I did a good job for not looking too shocked, and I gave her a hug and we walked back to the table. We had dinner, we chatted, and I was probably much less chatty than I had been because I was just a little bit shocked. I'm not someone who has issues with somebody's weight, but I am a smaller guy. I'm 5'9" and I weigh about 130 pounds, and I've always found myself attracted to a specific body type, which by the way, she appeared to have at one point, but she no longer has it. Now she was cool and the same person conversationally that I'd been talking to over the phone, but I was not attracted to her physically and that made me sad. But that really is something I have an issue faking. Eventually, I paid for dinner, I walked her to the car, and we went our separate ways. Afterwards, she texted me telling me how wonderful of a night it was and how she can't wait to do it again, to which I took some time to respond to make sure I was respectful, and my response was well crafted and not rude in any way. But eventually, I let her know that I didn't feel a connection and I had a nice evening and I would love to be friends. Well, she immediately snapped at me. She said to me, "Oh, you're the same as all the other guys. You love the old me, but not the heavy me." She then followed this up with a few more messages detailing her past experiences and trying to explain that if I liked her when she was smaller, why can't I like her now? I truly feel bad, and I didn't want to tear her down or make her feel even less self-confident, but reiterated that I would be happy to continue to be friends and talk, but I couldn't see the romantic angle working. Well, she wasn't a fan of that angle at all and said she was going to block me, to which I just didn't respond. So today comes around, and for background, I leave my personal phone at the house often as I have a busy workday, but when I come home from the office, my friends are sending me screenshots. Apparently, this girl had some mutual friends of mine, and she had posted on her Instagram story photos of my Hinge, warning her followers to stay away from this guy, saying that I'm a piece of garbage and all this other stuff. Now for reference, I do have Instagram, but usually I don't have it installed unless I'm painfully bored, so I just never saw it. But now I'm definitely going to re-download it to see if the posts were actually true. Well, it turns out she found me on Instagram and she blocked me, but my roommate showed me his phones that the posts were indeed there. I had a few people reach out and ask me about it, but I still feel bad, and I've been very confused about the situation all afternoon, and I wondered if I could have handled it better. She clearly had self-confidence issues, given all of her Hinge photos ended up being quite old, and I hate to think that I contributed to making that worse. That being said, I feel her response has been extremely out of proportion, as I still paid for dinner, I walked her to her car, and explained my position in what I thought was a thoughtful way. And with that, I think I'm going to take a break from online dating for quite a while. Okay, first off to the original poster, you didn't do anything wrong. This lady is crazy. She basically catfished you with old photos of herself to try and lure you in into a version of herself that you don't find attractive. And this is really not about how much she weighs. She could have been rail thin or had a different haircut or something that made her look completely different from what her profile was showing. So the fact that she wants to jump down your throat after you turned her down for literally bait and switching you, like that is so unfair, it's not even funny. So no, you didn't do anything wrong, because if she's going to lie on her profile about what she actually looks like, then that literally is her own fault and not yours. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for distancing myself from a friend after being put in a situation where his ex accused him of cheating? Here's what happened. Okay, I'm part of a university friend group that includes a guy that we will call Jay for the sake of the story. Recently, Jay's ex-girlfriend reached out to one of our friends. Let's call her Katie for the sake of the story. And they told her that Jay had been cheating on her and was hooking up with multiple girls during their relationship. She said that she felt hurt and used. Katie shared this with the rest of us, and as a group, we decided to talk to the ex to understand her side. We spoke with her together, and she seemed genuinely upset. And during the conversation, she called Jay on speakerphone while we were all listening. On the call, Jay sounded dismissive and uninterested in addressing her accusation. situations, which made her story feel even more believable to us. After this, we felt like Jay's behavior didn't align with the kind of person we wanted to stay close to. While we didn't cut him off completely, we decided to keep our distance, though we still interacted just for a little bit. We never shared the situation outside of our group, but we just made the decision for ourselves. Well, a few days later, Jay confronted us. He claimed the entire situation was a social experiment that he created to see if we would protect him or not. We didn't know if it was real or just an excuse, but either way, the ex-girlfriend told him everything about our conversation, including who was there. If Jay was lying about the whole social experiment thing, I don't understand why the ex would share those details with him. It made us question everything, but we had no solid answers. He accused us of betraying him and said that we threw him under the bus by siding with his ex instead of defending him. He also went on to say that university friends should stay university friends and not get involved in his personal life because it's none of our business. He argued that we have no right to judge him or intervene, even though his ex reached out to Katie first. And now we're left wondering if we handled things wrong. Some of us feel we did the right thing by comforting someone who seemed like a victim of toxic behavior, but part of me thinks that maybe we should have stayed out of his business and not involved ourselves as a group in the situation. We still see Jay every single day at university, and it is really uncomfortable, especially since he said he feels betrayed by us. So are we the jerks for involving ourselves in this situation instead of trying to stay out of his business? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, this is crazy to me because Jay is absolutely the jerk. No, you didn't do anything wrong, because in my opinion, real friends don't test other friends. Like, this is pure manipulation at its finest, and you absolutely do not deserve this. And why would you put your friends through this? The fact that he's trying to be like, oh yeah, this is a social experiment. You didn't stand by my side when it counted. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You literally lied to us. If you want to do some stupid social experiment, do it with somebody else. Don't do it with people that actually care about you. That's like a one-way ticket to never having their trust ever again. So no, you're not the jerk and you didn't do anything wrong in my opinion, because your friend is incredibly weird. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.